Hi everyone, welcome to Bruno Office Hours. And in this Office Hours, we are going to see how you can configure Bruno with GitLab, which is a Git repository hosting platform similar to GitHub and Bitbucket. And we are going to see how you can use Git UI functionality, which provides you to version control your API development or APIs and collaborate with the team. So if you use a GitLab as your primary source of controlling your version controlling and for your managing your software project or source code, so this is going to be really helpful for you. And how you can configure that if you're going through any issues, how you can troubleshoot that, we're going to see in this session. So the agenda for this session is that we are going to see first what is GitLab, and then we are going to see how to configure it with Bruno, what is the difference between SSH and HTTPS keys. We are not going to dive deeper, but we are going to set up SSH key setup in this session because HTTPS there's the issue about security, and again you have to enter a password again and again. So we are going to see how you can set up SSH keys to do that, and then again SSH key setup. We will walk through all how can generate SSH keys, how can configure with the GitLab, how can push pull and manage your source code or API development or collaborate on Bruno. And then again the last point which is important, how can use a Git UI functionality, which is an inbuilt Git support inside of Bruno. You don't need to exit of in a Bruno app to collaborate. You can use a Git UI feature and you can collaborate with your team and you can manage your version control your API development. So let's get started and let's see how can actually do this and how can manage your SSH keys, how can add that, how can do all the configuration and all the steps one by one. So I will just quickly minimize this and I will just quickly navigate you to the GitLab. So there are two prerequisites which you need to set up here. One is GitLab account. If you don't have, you can just simply go to gitlab.com and you can create account and you can set up that. You can follow this tutorial as step by step. If you run through or you want to get a hands-on, you can follow this. And another thing which you need to need as a prerequisite is that Git setup. So if you don't know how to set up a Git, there are plenty of tutorials available on the online. You can go and search, and once you install that, you can confirm that installation with this command git hyphen version. And if you want to install on the Mac, if you're using a Mac, so you can just simply say git install brave install, and it starts in gh. You can say that git and it will install for you. So once you do that, you have a git and we can just quickly get started. So right now we are done with two prerequisites. One is GitLab account. If you don't have, create quickly one, and another one is if you don't have Git and if you're a Mac user, it's easy to set up for the Windows as well. You just have to go to Git download and you just need to download a Git and it will do all stuff for you. You can install for Windows, Linux, and whichever the operating system you are using. So once you do that, we'll start from the GitLab first. We will create a repository there and we will just walk through what GitLab is and just basic overview of GitLab as a platform or as a product. And the second point, we are going to set up SSH keys and then we will create a collection inside of Bruno and we are going to see how we can push, pull and perform all the Git operations directly from the Bruno app. So let's get started and we'll see first what is GitLab and how can get started with that. So I will going to show you a basic overview. So this is similar to GitHub. There is nothing different. I will just quickly github.com slash this is my GitHub account and this is the same thing which we have here. Profile page, if you go to profile page. So this is the same thing we have. We are the contribution graph, here the projects or contribution, all the history which we have. And we go to GitLab, here you can create a project similar as a repository page. You can create a new repository from here, profile page and issues, pull request, notification, all things just similar to GitLab. So you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing on a GitLab as well. So you can just quickly create a project. Here are groups, you can see the communities, issues, what are the issues you're working on assigned to you. You can do all this stuff or maintain everything here. Currently, we don't have a lot of things here because we don't have multiple projects or we don't have any organization. We are going to see a basic stuff, how you can connect your Bruno to GitLab and you can perform all the activities. Then again, we have merge request, to-do list. These are the milestone and you can create a snippet similar to GitHub. So the same way you can create a snippets on a GitHub, similar way you can create a code snippets on the GitLab. Again, you have activity, import history, and you can create multiple workspaces and you can add a project there. I haven't created any workspace still, but feel free to do that. And here are environments. So you can add environments here. We can use the documentation as well. How can keep safe of your environment variables. So whenever you have some sensitive data and you don't want to share or you don't want to commit anything here, so you can just simply add environments or add a projects. You can feel free to again read documentation and you can just secure your workflow. So here is the security part and that's the stuff. Feel free to explore the GitLab platform. I just give you the simple walkthrough how can actually do that. So we are going to create a project on a GitLab, and I will just quickly show you how you can do that. So go to GitLab and create a project. You can give any random name, but we are going to give it something GitLab config, and it will automatically create a project slug, some ID here, and GitLab config. We are done. I want to keep this repo as a public. You can select a private as well. It's up to you. I don't want a readme file here, and I will just quickly say create project. So once I do that, it will give me all the links, and it will. So if you want to set up a local user, this is thing which we are going to see later. We don't need to do that now. And here is the main part. So you, as GitLab also suggests SSH, not HTTPS, because SSH keys are more secure and more reliable in terms of security and work with. SSH keys is more easy than HTTPS, and just make sure that you have copied this link. Right now, I just want to copy this link. This is my repo link which I created. This is my project name, which is coming from the project which I created previously, demo, and this is my repo name which I created here. And once you that, yeah, we don't have to do anything here. I'm done with the setup, and we just need to copy this link and do that. So once you do that, right now we have to go to terminal, and we have to set up how I can generate SSH keys, and I can set up that. I'll just quickly open my terminal, and I will say, so first I need to make sure that I have installed a Git, and you also have to make sure that you have set up Git properly. So confirm that you can run this command git hyphen version, and it will do that. Once you do that, you have to set up a variable called your user. So this is something that once you set up a Git, you can do that. You can edit documentation, but I will just show you a simple walkthrough how you can set up your username and emails to account. This is something that I already done. I'm not going to execute this command because I already have this git setup with my username and all my credentials. I will just simply say git config hyphen global username, and whatever the username you have here, make sure that this is the same username which you have on the your GitHub account or GitLab account. Just like I have the Devgan code as a username, so make sure that you are adding the same username here, not something different. So I will just simply say username, and I will say Devgan code, and once you do that, it will just simply add a username to your global config file. And same for the email, you have to set up two values here, username and email, to make sure that it work correctly. So on the email, I can say ganesh@usebruno.com, and as I already mentioned that I already have set up this value, so I'm not going to execute this thing. But if you are first user or first person, you are setting up all this kit and all this stuff, so you have to make sure that you have all the values set up correctly, and you have to go through all these commands. So I will just quickly show you how my values looks like. So I can just say git config username. As I mentioned already, my username is Ganesh Bruno on my main GitHub profile, and the email which I have set at name ganesh.usebruno.com, and I have all the setup. And once you do the setup, it will show you the same thing. So this is my GitHub configuration. So with the Git, you can set up a multiple profiles. Just like you can use multiple GitHub accounts, you can use GitLab account, you can use Bitbucket, and you have to set up all these values locally or globally. On my global values, I have set up this thing, and that's how I'm getting all this Ganesh Bruno, ganesh.usebruno.com, which is my Git profile globally, and we'll just clear this. So once we have set up a GitLab account with username and values, it's time to set up with the SSH keys. With that, to generate SSH keys, you have to run the command called SSH key generation, and I'm not going to execute this again, because once I execute this, it will give me a sensitive information, which is my SSH key, and which is security concern. But make sure that you don't share anything this SSH key with anyone. So once you execute that, it will generate a SSH key for you, and you have to make sure that you will copy that correctly. So this is a file where we are going to generate this SSH keys. It will create a one private and one public key, and the public key have a .pub extension. If you just open this SSH section in your from your settings to VS Code or something, you will see that you have two files there. I don't want to. I will show you quickly how you can see that. And this is an algorithm called AD25519. Previously, we are using a RSA algorithm. Git uses the RSA algorithm, which is secure, but AD25519 have more will give the more security and enhancement in terms compared to RSA. So that's why we are using AD25519, and this is the email. For this email, we are generating this SSH key. So once you do that, I will just quickly terminate this, and you have to add SSH this thing. So once you do that, you have generated a SSH keys. Right now, it's time to add this to your configuration. So SSH add, it is going to add your SSH keys or your SSH user, the new key you have added into SSH configuration file. And from here, you can just take that key and you can add to GitLab, and that's it. That's what we have to do here. And once you do that, you can just simply say, you can just copy this from command like this. And this is a public file which I talked about. I will just quickly show you how things are looks like. So I have multiple profiles set up. I will just simply show you a cat. This is config. And if I do this, you can see that I have the GitHub account, which is my default, and I have this GitHub name, and I have my personal GitHub account, and I have my Bitbucket configurations, I have my GitLab configuration. So this is something which I have, and this is something that we recently added, and I will just quickly say clear, and this is the same thing which you are going to see. Right now, I just want to show you how the things look like in SSH config. I will just say, I just want to show you how the public and all these keys looks like. So say SSH, and once you do that, say tree. I hope that, yeah. So I have this configuration files. I have this my main GitHub SSH keys, and I have this my public key GitLab, and this is my private key which I'm not going to share with anyone, and this is a public key which also is sensitive data. So just make sure that you don't share this with anyone, and you copy the content of this, because we are going to where we need this content, and we are going to see the ID, which is my personal GitHub account, and again the personal GitHub account for public key. Same for my Bitbucket and other accounts. So I will just quickly get back to home directory. I will clear this everything, and I will just say I want to copy the content of my GitLab profile, and I copy the content. I will just quickly show you how can add this to a account. I already added SSH keys, so I'm not going to add anything, but just to give the quick overview how you can do that. So once you do that, come to your GitLab account. So if I go here and say edit profile, you can select SSH keys. Okay. So here is the SSH keys, and so this is my SSH keys which I have added, and this key is encrypted. It's not something that this is encrypted data, and this is my SSH key, and that's how you have to add it. So you have to add SSH keys. Say you have to just paste the content of the public file which we have showed you. You have to add the content of this file, ID edit 25519, or whatever the file you will create. It can be a customized file, like whatever the name you can put here. There is no restriction, just like I have given a name, you can add anything to a file name, but whatever the content that file can have, you have to press here sc public key file content here, and just make sure everything looks good. So once you paste the content here, or I will just make sure that SSH key. Once you do that, we can keep it a public file content. You can keep the title here, just say you can add here something like personal SSH key, or uh, working SSH keys, personal SSH key, whatever it is, whatever you want to add here, and you can say authentication, whatever the expiry date you want to add here, or if you don't want to, just remove this, and that's all. That's what you have to do. And once you do that, you can say on a save, and the profile will look like this, and your SSH keys is added successfully on the GitLab. Now it's time to create a collection and push it the repo. So once you do that, we'll just simply go to GitLab account, and we'll create a one new project. Create a blank project, my project, and you can say GitLab demo. We are already done this. I'm looking for the repo which I created, demo, GitLab demo here. And okay, we can create a new project. I think while doing a setup, I think we missed something. But no worry, we can create a new blank project here, and we can say new name, GitLab Bruno. To do that, we'll set up user save one code. It will create. We'll set public. I don't need a readme file. I will just quickly create. Once I do that, GitLab config Bruno. So this is a file which this is a URL which we need. So we already copied this, and right now it's time to work with the Bruno. And I will just quickly close all this stuff. We don't need this, and we are going to create a new collection. And I will show you how you can use a Git UI functionality inside that using a GitLab. So I'm not going to import a collection. I'm going to create a collection, and let's say you can give it any name. I'm trying to give it the same name as GitLab repo, just to make sure we follow the same thing, naming convention. Once you do that, you will create a new request and a post and GitLab request, and we are going to use a echo endpoint which Bruno have. Feel free to use this endpoint. Use bruno.com. I will select a safe mode and quickly execute this request to make sure that it's working correctly. It's working correctly. We'll add a JSON data. I will just name Bruno. We'll execute this command, and we are receiving Bruno. So everything works correctly, and everything works fine. And now it's time to add origin. Just normally we do while working with the GitHub. and we already have a Git setup. We have a GitLab setup. We created a GitLab account. We created SSH keys, and we are done with that. And we will just show you. I just want to mention one thing. I just want to open a terminal. So if you have set up correctly and you just want to make sure that how it's set up without creating any repository or creating all this steps, you can just simply say that to just make sure everything is set up correctly. You don't need to do that. So for example, I'm adding a GitLab here, but you can use a GitHub here, you can use Bitbucket, you can use anything. But right now we have set up a GitLab, so that's why I'm adding a GitLab here. To make sure that you have correctly set up, you can enter this command ssh-t github git at gitlab.com, and it will give the correct username of whatever the account you have set up on a GitLab, and it will confirm that you have correctly set up that. So if I execute this, it should show me a Devugan code, which is my GitLab account username. I'll just quickly show you that. So GitLab Devugan code, and this is my profile. We have the same thing and we receive the same thing on terminal, so we have set up correctly. So follow the same steps. So once you do that, right now I want to show you how can do that inside the Bruno. How can set up a configure a Bruno with GitLab account, and I can do that. So I will just quickly say click on Git button, and I will initialize this collection, and I will add a remote. Add a remote. I will say origin and the URL which we copied from here. Just make sure that you copied the correct URL. I copied this URL from here and I will just add here and I will save and done. So this is something that you have to do, and that's it. So once you do that, you have done with all the work and setup. You have set up correctly. If you follow this session till it, like till example, you have set up everything correct. So you can just simply say push, not a push. First, you have to commit all the changes which we have. So we have bruno.json. You can see the nice diff which you have, and we have said added this two file. You can just say we added a changes, and right now we want to commit changes. So let's init project or whatever the commit you want to add, you can add any commit there. We just added in commit. So we added a commit, we added a changes to our staging area, and we have committed the what are the changes that you have. And right now I want to push. So while pushing, just make sure you have selected a main branch and you're pushing from the main branch. You can create a multiple branches according to your need, and everything is done. So we receive a message that it's done, and right now we are going to see if we refresh this page, similar thing we do for the GitHub, similar thing which you are doing for the GitLab. And as you can see, the content of my this file is similar to this thing. If I go to git remote, I merge this. How can I see the change? I think I merged to a main branch, so we have to create a separate branch to see the changes, but we have the same content. As you can see, the request name is GitLab request, type HTTP, and it's a post method. This is a Bruno URL, body JSON, and the data we are sending the name Bruno, and the same thing which we have, name, post, request, the data which we are sending, and we are receiving that data. So this is how you can do that. And once you do that, you can just simply go to this project, and yeah, this is a diff which you can see, same diff as we already seen in Bruno app. I just looking for few stuff. If I refresh this, it should show me topics, demo. But if I go to my profile, Ganesh Patel git config. So if I edit anything here, I just want to add. So this is the section which I'm looking for. So I want to add a readme here. I want to show you how the pull things work. Right now we push all the local changes to a GitLab. Right now I want to show you how the pull things work. So I want to add a readme, and I want to say that GitLab configuration Bruno, and just commit changes. Add a new file. Yeah, we have to commit on a main branch configuration with the Bruno, and we are done. If I now go to project, we have this readme file which we have created here. So right now this thing is not available in our local. So I want to pull all the latest changes which we have already committed on our main branch on the GitLab. So I want to pull all the latest changes. So you can just simply go to main, and you can just say pull, and make sure again you are pulling from main, and your local branch is also main. If you have different branches, you can change the settings, and I will pull all the changes, and it will show me that Ganesh Bruno Ganesh stuff, and I have added a new file the changes we have did, and Ganesh Patil. So As you can see here, create a mode readme.md, which means we have pull all the changes, the readme file which we have created in our local directory, and everything is up to date right now. Right now you have push, if I made some changes here, just like say if I change this Bruno to Ganesh, and if I execute this, and right now if I go to Git UI, it will show me a night diff that name is changed from Bruno to Ganesh. I will just quickly commit changes, change name from, and I will commit this. Once I commit, again the same step you have to follow. You add the changes, you commit the changes. Now it's time to push, and I will push the changes to the main repository. Everything is done. Right now if I go here, and I will just refresh this page to make sure we have the latest changes. And if you see here, the name is changed to Ganesh. And if I go to my latest commit, show me that this name is changed to, I want to see the side by side. No, yeah. So name is changed from Ganesh Bruno to Ganesh, name Bruno to name Ganesh. And yeah, this is something that we have changed. And yeah, this is the same thing which you can do. And you can create a new branch, you can check out push, pull, remove, all the operations that you can perform. So this is how you can configure a GitLab Bruno and use the Git UI functionality inside the Bruno app. You don't need to exit from the app. You can just do all the operations from directly from the app. Feel free to read the documentation for from docs.bruno.com. If you go here, you can go to Git in collaboration, and you can see all the what kind of operations that you can perform. Push, pull, create a branches. You can check out the branches, pulling changes, cloning the repositories, and we're going to add a GitLab and Bitbucket sections here. So it's a separate guide where you will figure out how can set up SSH keys and all things which we have done here. You can also do the same thing by reading those guides. So we're going to add a document here soon. So feel free to read the documentation. It's the same thing which we do with the Git and GitHub. It's the same thing which you're doing with the GitLab. So these are all the platform of Bitbucket, GitLab. These are the Git repository hosting platform where whatever the local repository you have or local working directory you have, you just push from Git to GitHub or any other platform, and you just host there, and you will track everything from issues, everything. So that's the use case of this platform. So you can do a lot of stuff, automation, CI/CD pipelines, deployment, and bunch of stuff. So this is how you can just use GitLab with Bruno with a Git feature. And feel free to share any questions you have or any troubleshoots. If you are running into any issues, feel free to drop your questions, and I will help you. We will help you to figure out what are the possible solutions. So thanks for joining the session. See you in the next session with new topic. And if you are new here, if you want to learn about more about Bruno, or if you're already user running through any issues, feel free to join a Discord server. We are there. We are growing on the community. We will help you there.